Chances are, at some point in your life, you've seen something like this placed in your door. Idyllic imagery of smiling people in lush, verdant landscapes, with a promise that this is coming soon. These tracts and magazines are produced by Jehovah's Witnesses. And although the phrase Paradise Earth does not occur in the Bible, the promise of a Paradise Earth is the foundation for Jehovah's Witnesses' hope for the future. Witnesses are often encouraged to use their imaginations to envision paradise as a beautiful utopia.
Imagine the future blessings that you will enjoy if you listen to Jehovah. You will have perfect health. No one will be sick or infirm. There will be no bad people. There will be no fear. People will be truly happy.
Even young children are encouraged to imagine the endless possibilities of a paradise Earth.
What about you, Sophia? What do you want to do in paradise?
Oh, I know. She wants her own butterfly garden. That would be nice.
Watchtower is typically vague about what this paradise will actually be like, particularly in their tracts, books, and articles aimed at the public and children. However, at times they have been quite specific in their vision of just exactly what this new Earth will entail. In this article, we will examine what the leaders of Jehovah's Witnesses tell their followers to expect of the new system of things.
It's good to imagine ourselves in paradise. It helps us to rejoice in the hope that Jehovah has given us.
Preceded by genocide. The good news that witnesses preach is of the coming new heavens and new earth, described in Revelation chapter 21. It is hardly remarked upon in their door-to-door ministry, however, that this new earth will only come about after Jehovah commits the greatest act of genocide in human history.
The vast majority of people living on earth today will not survive this world's end. The idea that God might destroy millions, yes, billions of people whom he considers ungodly might be shocking to some. But keep in mind that God does not desire any to be destroyed, but desires all to attain to repentance. However, God must be true to his word and must fulfill his purpose for this earth. To do that, those whom he regards as lawless must go.
Many witnesses are unaware of this teaching, but Watchtower publications have been quite explicit in stating that only Jehovah's Witnesses will survive Armageddon into the New World. Only Jehovah's Witnesses, those of the Anointed Remnant, and the Great Crowd as a united organization under the protection of the Supreme Organizer have any scriptural hope of surviving the impending end of this doomed system dominated by Satan the Devil. A lot of dead people. During a talk at Jehovah's Witnesses' 2009-2010 Special Assembly Day entitled "The Time Left is Reduced, How Will You Use It?", governing body member Anthony Morris III gave a rather grim account of the sort of carnage and mutilation witnesses can expect during Armageddon.
You see, I was in Vietnam, a medic in that war. I've seen what happens to humans when they're mangled. You see it on TV and some of that. Well, till you smell human flesh burning from a helicopter crash. People that look like humans, like a hot dog on a grill, blackened and splitting open. I know what's coming at Armageddon. A lot of dead people. A lot of dead people.
Children can learn so much during their formative years. The lessons they learn at a very young age can make an impression that lasts a lifetime.
People that look like humans, like a hot dog on a grill.
These mangled, dead bodies will not simply dissipate after the destruction of Satan's system of things. Watchtower has stated on several occasions that birds and beasts will pick the rotting corpses of their flesh. The Watchtower of 1953 says their bones will be picked clean by the wild birds and beasts, so long ill-treated by godless men. The book May You Survive Armageddon into God's New World states, "Come on, birds and beasts, have your fill then from the human corpses." The bones of billions of non-witnesses, though, will have to be cleaned up by those who have inherited the Earth. The survivors of Armageddon will not let the Earth lie littered with bleached bones, but will bury them to cleanse the land, as Ezekiel 39:12 states. Hence, in time, there must be a burial of the bones of those slain at Armageddon, but only to cleanse the land and not to memorialize their existence or imply hope of resurrection. God apparently will not immediately miraculously restore the earth to its Edenic state. Watchtower claims that this will be a millennium-long process that will take place during a period known as the 1,000-year reign. The 1,000-year reign / Judgment Day. Per Watchtower theology, the 1,000-year reign, mentioned obliquely at Revelation 20 verse 4, is a literal period of time immediately following Armageddon. During this time, Satan is abyssed, and according to insight on the scriptures, a 1,000-year period begins in which Christ Jesus and his associates rule as kings and priests over Earth's inhabitants.
Judgment Day will be a period of 1,000 years, during which humans will have the opportunity to regain what Adam and Eve lost. Those receiving favorable judgment will live on earth and will enjoy everlasting life in perfect conditions. Judgment Day helps to accomplish God's original purpose for humans and the earth.
One of the main promises witnesses proclaim is the ability to live forever in perfect conditions. However, Watchtower has made it increasingly clear that these perfect conditions will only come into effect after the 1,000-year Judgment Day is completed. It seems that all mankind will gradually grow to perfection during the 1,000-year reign of Christ. It is only at the end of the 1,000 years that Jesus will hand the kingdom back to his Father. Then the kingdom will have accomplished its work completely, including the raising of mankind to a perfect state. Paradise then has a sort of dualistic meaning within the religion, one part consisting of an imperfect 1,000-year period of restoration, and the second a perfect paradise after one last apocalyptic event, which we'll talk about later in the video. This delineation is rarely made in Watchtower publications, however, and its members use terms such as paradise, the new world, and the new system interchangeably. This gives casual readers of Watchtower publications, as well as witness children, the impression that beautiful, perfect conditions will immediately follow Armageddon. A deeper dive into Watchtower literature reveals that true, perfect paradise is a long way off, and the 1,000-year reign is full of provisos and restrictions.
You're gonna grant me any 3 wishes I want, right?
Almost. There are a few provisos, a couple of quid pro quo.
Restrictions. As mentioned earlier, Watchtower encourages its members to use their imaginations to envision paradise, their dream houses, their dream jobs, the sort of exotic animals they'd like to have as pets, etc. When you envision paradise, to sharpen your mental image of God's kingdom, look intently toward your life in paradise. Use your imagination. For example, when you study the lives of pre-Christian Bible characters, consider what you might ask them when they are resurrected. Imagine what they might ask you about your life during the last days. Envision how excited you will be to meet your ancestors from centuries ago and to teach them about all that God has done for them. Picture your delight as you learn about many wild animals by observing them in peaceful surroundings. Reflect on how much closer you will feel to Jehovah as you progress to perfection. Watchtower frequently quotes the book of Isaiah to imply that all those living in paradise will be able to live where they want, grow their own food, and be completely independent of human rule. They will certainly build houses and have occupancy. They will certainly plant vineyards and eat their fruitage. They will not build and someone else have occupancy. They will not plant and someone else do the eating. For witnesses, such quotes and verses conjure images of a world beyond imagination, one with complete freedom, though governed by God's heavenly kingdom. This is all at odds with the restrictive vision of paradise described in recent publications.
In this world, Satan wants people to think that they can do whatever they like. Many feel that it is important to be independent and that there is no need to obey God. What has been the result? Much suffering and unhappiness. But Jehovah is a loving ruler. How much better life will be in the new world when everyone obeys him. In the new world, we will enjoy following direction from Jehovah's organization to help make this earth into a beautiful paradise and help teach those who are resurrected. Jehovah will have much work for us. But what if those taking the lead asked us to do something that we do not really like? Would we obey? Would we do our best to fulfill and enjoy our assignment? To prepare for everlasting life in the new world, we need to obey the direction from Jehovah's organization now.
Not only is the idea of doing whatever you like to be viewed as satanic, paradise may well not live up to your boundless imagination. You will evidently still be assigned by humans to do things you may not want to do. The same article goes on to say that you will likely not be able to live in your dream home in the new world, at least not at first. In fact, you will be assigned to live somewhere. When the Israelites entered the Promised Land, they were assigned where to live. We do not know where each one of us may be assigned to live in the new world, but if we have learned to cooperate, we will be happy to do Jehovah's will wherever we live. What if, in the new world, we would love to live in one area, but Jehovah's organization asks us to move to another? At that time, it will not matter where we live or what we do. We will simply be thankful to be living in the new world, the resurrection. Perhaps the most appealing promise of the new world is that of seeing one's dead family and friends again, resurrected to youthful, perfect bodies. But this miraculous event is also presented with caveats.
In the new world, at times we may need to be patient. For example, we may hear that some people are very excited because their relatives and friends have been resurrected. However, we may have to wait for the resurrection of our loved ones. If that happens, will we rejoice with others and be patient?
When Jehovah, through his Son, resurrects countless millions, we may assume that not all of them will come back to life at the same time. Why not? Because an explosion in the Earth's population would likely cause chaos, and Jehovah never does anything in a disorganized, chaotic way. Recent JW broadcasting videos, such as Just Around the Corner, depict resurrections as scheduled events with a party planned for the resurrected person in a gazebo. A recent public talk that I was able to hear by a branch member in the Philippines described a resurrection calendar, though this is probably the speaker's own personal theory and does not necessarily reflect canonical Watchtower doctrine. And the aforementioned quotes show that witnesses will have to refrain from showing impatience, an imperfect quality, as they wait for family and friends to come back from the dead. By now, it should be obvious that Watchtower's depiction of the New World seemingly includes many of the human imperfections of the Old World. Qualities such as jealousy, impatience, resentment, and disobedience will still be allowed to persist during the 1,000-year reign. The primary difference will be that humans will be ruled by Jehovah's Witnesses, who will somehow receive guidance from Jesus. Who will govern or direct activities on the Paradise Earth? All laws and instructions will come from the new heavens above, but on earth there will be faithful men appointed to see that these laws and instructions are carried out. Because these men represent the heavenly kingdom in a special way, the Bible calls them princes. All of this paints a rather stipulated, rigid, even bureaucratic picture of the new system that's far less fantastical than Watchtower's artwork would have one believe. Many witnesses have put off having children, learning a new instrument, or pursuing a hobby until the new system. Its publications actively encourage such ideas. Think of how good it will be to spend time with your family and friends, including those who will be resurrected. You will have time to learn new skills and become better at the things you enjoy. For example, you could learn more about science, or you could learn how to play musical instruments, or how to design your own home. Watchtower's descriptions of the 1,000-year reign, however, leave one to wonder whether there will be any time for personal enjoyment for the first millennium after Armageddon. Let your mind dwell for a moment, please, on some of the monumental tasks that will need to be accomplished in that new, divine system of things. For one thing, a vast educational program will be required to teach a new language to the millions of resurrected dead as they come forth from the graves. And further, think of the work required in order to transform the hearts and minds of these people, many of whom have never heard of the Bible or of God's laws and purposes for mankind. Then, think of the program that will be inaugurated in order to transform this earth of ours into the lovely garden that God has purposed. When one thinks of how long it takes to clear just 1 acre of ground, cultivate the soil and plant it so that it will bring forth shrubs and trees and other plants in a manner that makes that area worthy of being called a garden park, one gets some idea of the colossal undertaking to transform the whole earth into a global paradise with sufficient food-producing areas to sustain a comfortable population on the earth. The vast education program of the recently resurrected, described above, has been an increasing focal point for Watchtower. You're not done preaching yet. The August 2020 edition of the Watchtower contains a vivid and bizarre description of the sort of teaching work that is to take place after Armageddon. The description for this picture reads, "A Native American man who died hundreds of years ago is resurrected during the 1,000-year rule of Christ. A brother who survived Armageddon gladly teaches the resurrected man what he needs to do to benefit from Christ's ransom. Evidently, part of this is shedding his native garb and wearing Western American clothing." Teaching resurrected individuals about Jehovah's Witness theology is said to be the most important part of the first 1,000 years of life in the New World. Most important of all, those who survive Armageddon will need to teach resurrected ones about God's kingdom and about God's requirements.
Finally, let's talk about the resurrection of the unrighteous. For the most part, the unrighteous didn't have an opportunity to develop a relationship with Jehovah. They did not live righteous lives, so that's why they are called unrighteous. When these unrighteous ones are resurrected, are their names written in the book of life? No. But their being resurrected gives them an opportunity to have their names eventually written in the book of life. These unrighteous ones will need a lot of help. In their former life, some of them practiced horrible, vile things. So they'll need to learn to live by Jehovah's standards. To accomplish this, God's kingdom will sponsor the greatest education program in all human history. Who will teach these unrighteous persons? Those who have their names written in pencil in the book of life, the great crowd, and the resurrected righteous ones.
But so far, it's evident that the majority of one's time in the New World will be spent obeying organizational direction, attending congregation meetings, engaging in theocratic construction projects, and conducting Bible studies, all things that witnesses are expected to do currently. Given that all this is purely speculative fantasy, one has to wonder why witness leaders would put so many limitations on its followers' future hope. The reason can be found in the title of the August 15th Study Watchtower, Prepare Now for Life in the New World. For the leaders of Jehovah's Witnesses, the notion of paradise is not just a hope, it is a method of control. If we want to live forever in the New World, now is the time to get a firm hold on everlasting life. We know that the end is coming soon, so we must live in a way that shows we expect the end to come at any time. We need to do everything we can now to prepare for life in the New World. Another Armageddon. As mentioned previously, Watchtower claims that Satan is to be banished to an abyss for the duration of the 1,000-year reign. After the 1,000 years are up, he will be set free again to cause one last bout of genocidal destruction. It all depends on the resurrected ones. Will they let themselves be incorporated into that righteous new earth? Or will they return to their former bad ways that they pursued during this present system of things? Those who do so will be judged and condemned as unworthy of the gift of eternal life in human perfection and godliness. This test does not only apply to resurrected ones, however.
No one will be allowed to cause any ruin in the new world. So any who display a wicked attitude during the 1,000 years will be removed.
Surviving Armageddon, then, is not enough. After 1,000 years, humans will once again be tempted by Satan, who will once again succeed in misleading many. How many? The Revelation book goes on to say that the number of those who join Satan in his revolt will be as the sand of the sea. After this, those who followed the devil will be destroyed, and Satan will not merely be abyssed. This time, the Revelation book continues, Satan, the original serpent, will actually be crushed out of existence, pulverized, completely annihilated as if by fire. It is only after all these things, after 2 Armageddons and 1,000 years of reconstructing the annihilated Earth, after burying the bones of billions, that the perfect conditions of paradise, seen in so many pieces of Watchtower artwork, can be attained. All of this reinforces the culture of fear curated by the leaders of Jehovah's Witnesses. They tell their members that even if they manage to survive Armageddon, they have another 1,000 years to potentially screw up and start serving Satan. Perfection will not be enough, since the perfect Adam and Eve were misled. And all the while, even in paradise, members will be subservient to human representatives of Jehovah's organization. Wittingly or not, when Jehovah's Witnesses come to your door with colorful pictures of a paradise earth, this is the hope they are describing. Thank you for watching. If you found the video helpful, please share it around.